has been changing a lot. The watering hole has been growing and we have a lot more dinosaurs evolving. Though the only problem is that we keep having to move the dinosaurs to different islands because of the climate changes. But this is not our main focus today. This is our main focus. Brachiosaurus bread. So, right now he's just eating some nice bamboo and some big weeds. With every step he makes, leaving at least a mark. He's really big. Right now he's heading to the waterfall where the rest of the dinosaurs are because he needs to get some water too. He's like any other dinosaur. There's lots happening. But hopefully he doesn't get into any other trouble with the meat eaters, especially the sea ones. Now that he made it to the watering hole, he wants to take his first little bathing here. He's bathing and really enjoying it well. It's been weeks, years. It's been a very long time since he got water. And here is a nice little archelon. He's trying to lay his nest right now to get some more baby sea turtles. Though that may take a while, so we're not going to focus on him. Like I said, we're focusing on the Brachiosaurus. While he is bathing in the water, there's a water creature that is kind of hunting him down under the water. It's a hammerhead shark. He wants to nibble him down with tons of meat to last him for days, months, maybe even years. Though he has a very small chance. So even though he knows that, he's so desperate to eat food that he's going to risk the take. He took up his first bite, and the Brachiosaurus lifted off his legs and smashed one of his tails. Though the hammerhead hasn't finished yet. The vibrating is so hard that even some of the dinosaurs fell down. He took his second bite. The Brachiosaurus lifted up his legs again and crushed his dorsal fin. He took one last shot, and this last one finished the hammerhead shark off. The Brachiosaurus lifted up his foot and crushed his head. Now the other sea sharks can eat him. Like the Crux denotes. Neither is the Brachiosaurus finished being hunted. Other dinosaurs have noticed this big chunk of meat that's already wounded. The other ones want to take a risk to bite down and chop his meat down. With his bow, he has really thick leather. It's going to be really hard for any of these dinosaurs to hunt them down. So, if the Spinosaurus tried his first bite, and what ended up happening his first bite ended up losing his arm. Because he first tried scratching him, and then he ends up giving up and heading back to the water to end up looking for some more fishes to eat and munch on. But then there's also a Tyrannosaur trying to do it, and he's not going to give up till the fifth time probably. So he takes his first bite on his neck, and the Brachiosaurus knocks him off and breaks one of his bones. And then he came up again and ripped off a chunk of his stomach, and then the Brachiosaurus crushed his arm, and then finally he took one last bite on his leg where it was already wounded, and he crushed his head to finish him off. But he wasn't fit, even though he got crushed his head, he still has just a really bad wounded jaw, but he's still alive. Sadly, painfully and sadly, the Tyrannosaurus Rex will have to live with this injury that's going to be permanent till he's an adult. Now this is only a juvenile, so he's not a full grown. Now this is mating season, so there's lots of dinosaurs trying to mate. So as you can see, there's some other long necks over here mating. But he's not over here to mate. There isn't enough Brachiosauruses on this island to do that. He's over here to check out if his nest has hatched yet. Yes, he had a nest over here that he buried. But fortunately, they haven't hatched. So right now, he's just going to be over here trying to protect his turf and his eggs. This is the most caring Brachiosaurus that any paleontologist have ever seen of any fossils, but he's not a fossil. Well, he's a living fossil, but he's not exactly a fossil anymore. He's alive, and so he takes care of his young. Here is a baryonyx. He's looking for some mud puppies or some shellfish to be digging in to eat. There's been so little fishes living in the water. There's been too deadly to go fishing for any fish. So he's digging in this drought in the river. But then he found some, luckily, and started munching on it so he can have a nice little treat. Meanwhile, a herd of Stegosaurus is walking here. So this one baby is so curious and runs into this little pile of mud immediately. So once he gets his legs in there, he can't move, and he starts sinking deeper and deeper until he's completely buried. Fortunately, it was quicksand, and all the other Stegosauruses saw what just happened, so they ran away, knowing that there's something deadly in there, and they don't know what it is. Over here, the Brachiosaurus is back. He is trying to see what's going on, though when he walks over here, he digs up something. A plesiosaur that lived in the water. In the drought, he buried himself. So, but Brachiosaurus ended up digging him up, and he starts walking away, but ends up finding water again and goes diving in. Since the Brachiosaurus cleared that off, the baryonyx starts digging here. He ripped off some of the skin from the plesiosaur, so he's trying to look to see if he buried any by accident. And he ate some and nibbled on it to see if there's anything delicious to get some more protein in his body. He hasn't had any protein in a long time. So now the Brachiosaurus is continuing his journey. If you're thinking what the journey is, it's going to be a surprise at the end of the series. So the pond is so filled, there isn't super much to show here. Except for the one problem is that one creature has been stalking him the whole time, and it is the Toxie Rhino. And he got onto land with his tail still in the water, and when the Brachiosaurus was close to shore, and took a bite and pulled him back into the water, making every dinosaur get hurt or get at least one bone crushed because he fell into the water. And to this pound, he weighs 3 tons, and he's a full grown, and he weighs 30 tons, and he is a 20-year-old Brachiosaurus. Now this is pretty young for a Brachiosaur, but he still weighs a lot. Luckily, no dinosaur got killed or any sea creature. Though one creature is going to get hurt, not because of the weight of the Brachiosaurus. The Cosmosaurus went into the water, and the Toxie Rhino is so desperate that he took a bite out of his horns, making him desperate and making him vulnerable to attack him with his horns and killing him. He pulled out one of his eyes and broke his horns, and he finally finished him off and drowned him and finished and started eating on his carrion, and it attracted even more sea creatures. So now that the Brachiosaurus went through all that, he's now running away very, very fast. So it's getting him farther and farther away from his destination. So he really, really needs to find a way back. This is the breathing area. This is where all the dinosaurs breathe. Though the Brachiosaurus is being pretty dumb, and two Triceratops ended up crashing into his legs, making him bleed a lot. Though all his might, the rest of the strength that he has on his legs, he ran back and farther away from his territory, and farther. Well, though, if you come over here, all the way over here, there's one problem. The Baryonyx isn't finished. He really wants more food, and he's sticking out his nesting site. So, right now, he just ate some of his eggs. That's really bad. But now he's bearing it back up. And when the Brachiosaurus comes back, well, she will actually have few surviving eggs. She's somewhere hidden in another mound. The Baryonyx has been watching her and knows where she laid her eggs. Now she has one more destination, and she's almost reached her destination, but she went the wrong way. Though she made it pretty good ways for where she's gonna live. This is gonna be where she's gonna bury some more of her eggs. This is not her main destination, but she's gonna make a house somewhere nearby here, or maybe even a little farther, at least farther than the breeding section. She already breeded the last mating season, so now she doesn't need to do much. So now she's laying her eggs by squatting. Now she's burying them back up. Now she's making her journey back over here. Now she's just having one more plan, and this is a lot of volcanic activity, and there's lots of earthquakes here. But she has one idea. She is gonna look up in here because there's so much earthquakes, and there used to be lots of plants here. She's looking for plants because she's starving and needs food immediately. She couldn't find anything here, just a twig that she nibbled on a little bit. But then she started digging over here, and she found this delicious weed, and she's eating it and enjoying it a lot. Now that part is finished, and she learned her lesson from the Triceratopses, so she jumped over one of them. Now that she's walking, there's a little creature over here that's living in here. He ran over here and climbed up and jumped up onto here and started biting him and didn't let go no matter how much he swung or stomped or whatever she did. She didn't come off, and he tried ripping off his chunk of his hard scales. So finally, the Brachiosaurus whacked his tail, but ended up losing a chunk of his skin. His Toxinodes ate the little chunk of it. Then he ran into his little hole and fed some of it to his babies. Now he's almost back to his destination and back to his old house. Now he's back to his old house, but his destination's not finished. He just needs to grab some more food and some of his eggs that he needs to bury because he weighs them because he couldn't hold them in. He laid a lot of eggs this year because he actually mated more than one Brachiosaurus because lots of them ended up dying from the giant mean T-Rex. Now that she's almost there, she first checks out her eggs one more time over here on the side of her mountain, And now she got mad and finally found out who did it. Did, and splat went the baryonyx as he finished his journey all the way back home. He needs to be careful because there's some potholes here that he trips every once in a while on. And he made it to his house, his new house. Now he starts digging and laying some of his eggs nearby, and now he starts his new life over here. So that was the story of the Brachiosaurus and the other dinosaurs.